My name is Michael Victor. I'm from Pomona, California, which is about 28 miles east of Los Angeles in Southern California. My grandmother is Jessie Bell. My great-grandmother is Lena Simpson Liggins, and they're all from the Tom, Oklahoma area, McCurtain County. Della Liggins was my great-great-grandmother. That was the mother of Lena Liggins Simpson, Lena Simpson Liggins, or Lena Liggins Simpsons. And my great-grandfather was Winfred Wills, and my great-grandmother was Lena Simpson, or Lena Liggins. She ended up being a Burris. My great-grandmother is the mother of my grandmother Jessie Bell, or J.C. Burris, and the whole Burris clan, and she's the daughter of Della Liggins, Louis Liggins. Okay. And they were part of that Choctaw Freedmen, Group 302. One of the last times we went, I was actually with Rodney. We all went down. It might have been 1983. It was 83, I want to say. It was my grandmother's last time here, but we went down to Idabel and Tom. And at that point, that's where Uncle JC and they were all pointing out where they were trying to find their childhood homes. And we actually went down and saw Uncle Robert Wills, who had a fish market down in New Boston, Texas as well. So when we were down there, but we stayed in Idabel proper, I want to say. We were at, I can't remember the hotel, but we stayed in the hotel down there. So we were there, we made a weekend of it for me. And that was the time that I remembered. That was the time that I remember the most recent. That would have been in '83. I got to spend, from 1970, and this is my earliest recollection, I was born in 1971, and from 1977 to 1983, we would come here every summer, and we would spend the month of July here in Oklahoma, and I know that we went back multiple times. Like I said, '83 is the time that I remember the most, but we had went back, times prior to visit. I also spent quite a bit of time with Uncle JC, who was the sheriff of Logan County, so we were able to move around a lot to Meridian, Oklahoma, and different places where we were able to talk about, our past and our future, and kind of what our family was about. There was always, this is I'm gonna dig down a rabbit hole a little bit here, but my grandmother and Aunt Iola were very close. They tended to argue quite a bit. So it would be Belle. They called my grandma. They called Jessie. They called my grandmother Jessie Bell, and they say, Belle. Now Belle, the house was over here. My grandma was like, no, it's not over here. It's over there. And Uncle JC would be kind of the calming influence and be like, because he was the brother who knew everything. He was the for lack of a better term, the linchpin to the family. He was the backbone. He was a man's man. And so everybody looked to him for guidance, and so he would tend to correct people. So they were just trying to find their home, because so much had changed and things had been gone. I remember, I can't remember the man's name, but they were talking about a Mr. Somebody. This was Mr. Somebody's land at one point, and they had worked that land as children. I think being I can't. When we were just talking about this earlier, it's not a lot of new blood in the family in here in Oklahoma. So my son is here. He's 23, and so he gets a chance to kind of experience what I experienced as a child, because I was able to glean a lot of stuff from my cousin Rodney, my cousin Jimmy, cousin Doris. I was able to spend quite a bit of time with Uncle JC, Aunt Iola, Aunt Teen, which is Ernestine McClellan, Uncle MC's wife. So I was able to glean quite a bit and actually see places, and see. I was able to even meet Grandpa Prince. That would have been '83 too, when he was 83. He was here in Oklahoma City, and it wasn't an assisted living home; it was a seniors home. But I was able to see Grandpa Prince too in '83. I'm not sure what year he died, but that was the last time I believe I saw him as well. Ernestine is we call her Aunt Teen. That's Aunt Teen, and Uncle MC. That's where their home was actually for lack of a better term, it was our staging grounds. That's where when we came to Oklahoma, and we called it out here, they call it the city. When we get to the city, the first thing we do is go there, we set up shop there, and then from there we'd go different places. I used to really want to go to Uncle JC's place. That was where I wanted to make a beeline to. Rodney lived in Guthrie, so and we were just talking about his wife too early. And God rest her, she's a beautiful person. But we would set up shop there, and that would be our staging ground, and that would be where everything where we do everything from. I remember Uncle MC worked at Tinkerfield. He would go to work at about 5 in the morning, come home about 2 in the afternoon, and tend to his garden. 18 would cook. She would also worked at a preschool, and she would bring. One of my fondest memories is she would bring home donuts every day, and so we'd have dinner and donuts. And she was probably one of the first people at that time that had a microwave at that time, because '83 that microwaves were brand new. I was taught the value of family very early. My grandmother would sit on the phone with Aunt Iola, when we were in California and this is when you had toll calls and you had actual phone bill. And so I learned the value of family. It was family. I was taught family. I was taught to value family. And my grandmother, no matter what happened, we made it. We would come here, we would go to 18, and we would disperse throughout the area to see family, and it taught me to value family. Wow. 18 had a big heart. Uncle MC had a big heart. He was funny. He was welcoming. 18 was stern. She was loving. They were consistent. And the one thing that my family here taught me as well, one of the real valuable things that I learned was stability. We're a very stable family, and I learned the value of family. And 18 put a premium on that, and we knew we were loved.
The way you say that.
Ironically, we in California, we live 2 miles south of Old Route 66, where going through California, Old Route 66 is, in some areas, is Foothill Boulevard. But part of our travels when we would come from California to Oklahoma was we'd ride the old Greyhound buses, and you take Route 15 to Route 66 to Route 40, and we go through Flagstaff, Albuquerque, Amarillo, and Oklahoma City. So it was really truly a highway and a byway for us as we were making our way from California to Oklahoma. Yeah, so we stop at Flagstaff. There was a big stop at Flagstaff, Albuquerque, Amarillo, and then we'd get to Oklahoma City. So we'd leave generally at about 5:30 in the morning on, say, a Sunday, and we'd get to Oklahoma City by late Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning. Yeah, it was fun. Every now and again, depending on how money was, we might catch a flight back, but for the most part, it was always the bus. The start of our family business has its foundations here. My Uncle JC while he was a law enforcement man, he was also an entrepreneur, and so a lot of our free thinking and our forward thinking came from our family. My mother opened up a temporary staffing firm in July of 1983. She had been a legal secretary for a few years. Me and my grandmother were here when she started the business. We were here in Oklahoma City. We were here on a visit. And my mother, she had a very good job at Lewis, D'Amato, Bristol, and Biscard, which is the law firm that she was at. She called my mother and said that she was quitting. She called my grandmother and said, "Mom, I'm quitting my job, and I'm starting a business." And my grandmother was like, "Lord have mercy." She gathered up everybody. Aunt Ernestine, 18, Aunt Iola, Uncle AJ, Aunt Faye, Uncle JC, and everybody came to the house in the Garden Oak section. And she said, "I need you to pray for my daughter. She's quitting her good job to start a business. I just need y'all to pray for her. And we got in a big prayer circle, and they prayed. And we got on a flight. At the time, it was TWA, Trans World Airlines. We got on a flight, and I'll never forget it. My Uncle JC gave my grandmother a $50 bill. And my grandmother said, no, JC, I can't take it. He said, now, Bell, now gone. And we went back to California, and today in 2024, my mother is retired, and I'm a second-generation business owner. And I've taken over a business that is flourishing. And I attribute that to the prayers that were said in July 5th, 6th, or 7th of 1983. 41 years later, we're here.
Wow, okay. I like that. So that is all I have.
Okay.
My name is Rodney Burris. I'm from Central Oklahoma, Langston area. My parents are J.C. Burris. Is my dad, senior. He's from Tom, Oklahoma. My mom is Faye Burris, and she's from Luther, Oklahoma. I'm retired now. Spent approximately 30 years with Oklahoma Highway Patrol. I spent several years being a road trooper in northeastern part of Oklahoma. Then I transferred to Oklahoma City, where I was an instructor in the training academy. I was promoted to the rank of second lieutenant, sent to Troop A, which is the metropolitan area here in Oklahoma City. Afterwards, I was promoted to first lieutenant, first black first lieutenant in the state of Oklahoma, where I maintained my same locality, but I was in charge of the area. And subsequent to that, I was promoted to captain, then to major, where I was in charge of the western part of the state of Oklahoma. I spent approximately 9 years in the Internal Affairs Division also, where a lot of people did not want to interact with me because it's investigative in nature. My dad's parents was Prince Burris and Lena Simpson Burris. My dad's parents were Prince Burris, and his mother was Lena Simpson Burris. My granddad's mother, Delia Coleman Burris, was a slave in the Choctaw Nation, and I've forgotten who her owners were, but that's how we get tied in with one of the ways we get tied in with the Choctaw tribe. And also his mother, Lena, my dad's mother, Lena Simpson Burris, her parents, if I'm not mistaken, were slaves also in the Choctaw Nation, but they all grew up down in southeast Oklahoma, around the Tom area. Many times Dad made sure that we knew where he was from. We came down when Grandma Delia lived in Idabel. We'd come and visit her. And of course we had a lot of relatives down there of whom we spent a lot of time with also. Loved the area, loved that rich tree-lined area down there. Some of the more memorable moments that we had down there, like I said, going to visit Grandma Delia, she was just a plethora of information. She talked all the time about her time growing up down there, and I love to interact with older people anyway. On my dad's mother's side of the family, I didn't know her. She passed away when they were children. He made sure that we went to their ancestral area down there to include the Della Simpson Cemetery down there, where Daddy would tell us about various people that were buried there. I spent many years being in this part of the state, of which Route 66 went through the area that I was assigned to as a supervisor, as a second lieutenant, and then as troop commander in this area as well. Route 66 also went through my assigned area when I was a captain, then a major, extending into western part of the state of Oklahoma through the Clinton, Weatherford area, and I spent a lot of time traveling that route then. In addition, in internal affairs, many times I had to investigate circumstances which took me on the Route 66 route. Most of the time when I was on Route 66, I was just traveling to and from a specific destination. Now, on the Oklahoma State Capitol grounds, I was also the zone commander of the captain / major of the Capitol area here, where we had troopers assigned to Capitol protection, dignitary protection. Dad was the sheriff of Logan County from north of here, Guthrie area. He was the first elected black sheriff in the state of Oklahoma, and he stayed in that role for approximately 12 years. But he was in the role as a deputy and then undersheriff prior to that, so that's what he did. My little brother, Jim, was a state trooper for 19 years. He had various assignments beginning in the eastern part of the state, extending into Oklahoma County, and subsequently he was in the Highway Safety Office, where he was a coordinator over there dealing with highway safety. It became a tradition. Dad was first, of course, and he got me my first job in law enforcement before I became a trooper, and I just kind of fell in love with it. Well, of course, Dad was the sheriff of Logan County, so his area extended to the entirety of Logan County. I don't know what much to say about his job, but he was the chief law enforcement official in that county. Jim, my little brother, he was a road trooper. He wrote tickets like everyone does. He worked accidents like everyone does. He had special assignments like most have. And then he was a spokesman for the Highway Patrol for a while. And he was the original click of the ticket trooper in the state of Oklahoma. Ernestine is my aunt. She and my dad were sister and brothers. And they told me, I don't recall it, but they told me that at one time we all lived together when I was a little boy. Uncle MC used to joke about it quite a bit, and Auntie was just kind of the opposite. She was kind of a no-nonsense person, kind of like my mom, so they got along extremely well. They were from down in the Tom area as well, Auntie and Uncle MC. They from down in McCurtain County. After we moved away from Oklahoma City, we moved to the Langston area. We would come down here on many occasions just to visit. And Uncle MC, he'd keep you laughing. He was just always joking with you. And you knew where you stood with him because he's going to tell you. Auntie, she was like my mom's. They were Christian stalwarts. They just had strong Christian background. And they believed in our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And I just loved listening to them talk. My dad made sure that we knew that we were members of the McCurtain County community, the Tom community, and he was a banner waver for us being members of the Choctaw Freedmen also. He always emphasized that family was the most important thing, and his love of family was unmatched. Well, the first thing, Auntie could cook. She was a great cook. And she always had something special at the house when we'd go over there. They just opened their home up to us, and with open arms, they embraced us, and we embraced them as well.